This is what your morning newspaper is printed on. Not the wood, but the paper manufactured from it. This is what sweetens your tea and coffee. Not the sugar cane, but the sugar manufactured from it. These rocks are what our cars and aircrafts are made of. Not the ores, but the iron and aluminium manufactured from them. In all the examples we saw so far, we talked about manufacturing something from another thing. Let us understand what we mean by manufacturing. The process of using raw material to produce more valuable goods in large quantities is called manufacturing. The diagram here shows how wood is used as raw material to manufacture more valuable paper in large quantities. At times, manufactured goods also act as raw material for another industry. For example, cotton yarn is manufactured using raw cotton. The cotton yarn is then used as raw material to manufacture cotton textiles. Industries like iron and steel plants, car factories, textile industries, bakeries, and food processing industries that manufacture finished products from primary material are called manufacturing industries in the secondary sector. All companies do not produce goods. Some companies provide services like mobile phone connections, courier services, and travel and tourism services. However, in this module, we will concentrate on manufacturing industries in the secondary sector, as described earlier. Manufacturing industries play a crucial role in the overall and especially the economic development of a country. In fact, a country's economic strength is measured by the growth of its manufacturing industries. Let us take a look at the factors that make manufacturing industries so important to us. India is traditionally an agricultural country. The growth in manufacturing industries has modernized farming in India by the introduction of useful tools and machines. The growth in manufacturing industries has generated a large number of employment opportunities. This has reduced the dependence of people on agriculture. It has also helped reduce unemployment and poverty, especially in backward rural and tribal areas. An increase in manufacturing capacity allows us to export our goods to other countries and build up our reserves of foreign exchange. India is one of the countries that have the manufacturing capabilities to convert their raw material into finished goods of higher value. This leads to overall growth and prosperity. Our land resources are limited, and we need to expand both our agriculture as well as manufacturing industries. This often creates problems where agriculture and industry are considered against each other. However, this is not true. Agriculture and industry mutually benefit each other. India has a large number of agro-based industries that depend on agricultural produce for raw material. All the jams, fruit juices, and tomato ketchups that make your food so delicious are manufactured products of such agro-based industries. Thus, agriculture plays an important role in expanding our manufacturing industry. Manufacturing industry, on the other hand, provides farmers with fertilizers, pesticides, and different types of farming machines and equipment. This makes agricultural processes more efficient and thereby increases the agricultural produce. Today, just developing and diversifying our industries is not enough. The key is efficiency. Our manufacturing industries are facing competition from all over the world. To stay competitive in the global market, we must ensure that the quality of our goods is at par with the best. If you wish to set up a manufacturing industry, how will you choose its location? What are the factors that you must keep in mind while choosing the location of your industry? To answer these questions, first you have to understand how a manufacturing industry works. Every manufacturing industry needs inputs of raw material or components that can be manufactured into a finished product. To come into existence, a manufacturing industry also requires an entrepreneur. As an entrepreneur wanting to set up a manufacturing industry, you will have to arrange for the capital, land, infrastructure like a factory, machines and electricity, and skilled manpower. Next, you need to find transport to get all the inputs to your factory where the finished goods are manufactured as output. Once the goods have been manufactured, you need to transport them to the market where you sell them and earn money. This money is used to arrange for more inputs to carry on the production in your factory. The key factor influencing all decisions about setting up a manufacturing industry, including its location, is the cost. If you can keep your costs low, you can make more profit. The main costs in a manufacturing industry are for procuring raw material, producing goods, and distributing finished goods in the market. Thus, the ideal location for your factory will be a place that has easy and low cost availability of raw material, capital, land, labor, power, transport and market. It is difficult to find all these factors in one location. Thus, the most appropriate location is chosen where most of these factories can be arranged at the lowest cost. A manufacturing industry needs lots of workers, and workers need houses, schools, hospitals, banks and markets. Thus, a manufacturing industry promotes the urbanization of its neighborhood. Already urbanized areas also attract industries, since they provide ready facilities for transport, banking, labor, consultancy, etc. If an urban center offers sufficient facilities and advantages, several industries come up there together to form an industrial agglomeration. These industries together form an agglomeration economy. Before independence, most industries in India were located in port cities like Mumbai, Kolkata and Chennai, keeping in mind the overseas trade. Gradually, these places developed as heavily industrialized urban centers surrounded by vast farmlands. If you make a list of things you use every day, you will be surprised by their number. Most of these things are products of manufacturing industries. All these things are made from different kinds of raw material with different manufacturing processes. These are also some of the criteria on which we can classify manufacturing industries. We can classify manufacturing industries based on their source of raw material, role, capital investment, ownership pattern, and bulk of supplies like raw material and finished products. Based on their source of raw material, manufacturing industries can be classified as agro-based industries and mineral-based industries. Agro-based industries that manufacture cotton textiles, rubber, sugar, tea, coffee and edible oil source their raw material from agricultural produce. Industries like iron and steel, aluminium, cement, and petrochemicals source their raw material from minerals and are called mineral-based industries. Based on the weight or bulk of the raw material used and the finished products, manufacturing industries can be classified as heavy and light industries. Heavy industries like iron and steel plants use tons of raw material like iron ore and coal and produce bulky ingots of iron. Electrical and electronic companies use lightweight components to produce small handy items like cell phones and are called light industries. Based on their role, manufacturing industries can be classified as basic or key industries and consumer industries. The produce of basic or key industries like iron and steel, copper and aluminium smelting is supplied as raw material to other industries like automobile and cable manufacturing. Consumer industries produce daily use products like salt, sugar and toothpaste, and electrical and electronic appliances that are sold directly to the consumers. Based on the capital investment, manufacturing industries can be classified as small-scale and large-scale industries. This classification depends on the maximum limit of investment in the industry, which may change with time. At present, industries with a capital investment of up to Rs 1 crore are called small-scale industries, while those with an investment exceeding Rs 1 crore are called large-scale industries. Based on ownership, manufacturing industries can be classified as public sector, private sector, joint sector, and cooperative industries. While public sector industries are owned and run by the government, private sector companies are owned by individuals or business houses. Joint sector companies are jointly owned and managed by the government and the private sector. Cooperative industries are owned by people actually involved in the production, like raw material producers, suppliers and workers. The total share of industries in India's GDP is 27%, out of which 10% comes from mining, quarrying, and electricity and gas production activities. Manufacturing industries contribute only 17% to our GDP. This is much lower in comparison with Southeast Asian economies, where manufacturing accounts for 25 to 35% of the GDP. From a growth rate of around 7% in the last decade, manufacturing in India started growing at a rate of 8 to 10% after 2003. The desired growth rate for the next decade is 12%. The National Manufacturing Competitiveness Council, or NMCC, has been set up to achieve this target by adopting appropriate policies and improving productivity. Agricultural produce like fruits, oilseeds, cotton, jute, etc. act as raw material for a number of manufacturing industries called agro-based industries. The sugar industry and silk and woolen textiles are examples of agro-based industries. In this module, we will discuss the cotton and jute textiles and the sugar industry in detail. Before we move on to cotton and jute textiles, let us take a look at the Indian textile industry in general. It is an important industry that contributes 14% to our total industrial production and 4% to our GDP. The Indian textile industry is the largest employer after the agricultural sector, employing around 35 million people. The industry also generates 24.6% of India's total foreign exchange earnings through exports. The production process in the textile industry is very interesting. Raw fiber, like cotton, is grown by farmers. This fiber is spun into thread or yarn. The yarn is woven or knitted to produce cloth. Finally, the cloth is dyed, cut, sewn, and finished to produce a garment, like a shirt that you buy from the market. Activities like spinning, weaving, knitting, dyeing, and finishing are important stages of production in the textile industry. And a large number of industries are devoted to each stage. At each stage, there is tremendous value addition to the output. For example, the fiber that is priced at 85 rupees per kilogram costs 800 rupees per kilogram in the form of a finished garment. Cotton, woolen, and silk are the main types of textiles produced in India. In fact, the textile industry is the only industry in India that is completely self-reliant in terms of raw material and technology to produce finished garments from raw fiber. Cotton textiles have been produced in India since ancient times. Since those early times, cotton cloth was produced in India using hand spinning and handloom weaving methods. During the colonial period, the Indian market was flooded with cotton cloth made in British mills. This affected the Indian textile industry, as the local produce could not compete with the foreign cloth. With the demand for cloth in Britain increasing during the two world wars, the first cloth mill was set up in India in 1854 in Mumbai. At present, there are around 1,946 cotton textile mills in India. Around 80% of these mills are owned by the private sector. The remaining mills are either in the public sector or run by cooperative societies. There are also several thousand small-scale mills with 4 to 10 looms each. The cotton textile industry supports people in a number of jobs, like farmers, cotton pickers, and workers engaged in ginning, spinning, weaving, dyeing, designing, packaging, and tailoring. The industry also supports other production sectors like agriculture, manufacturers of dyes and packaging material, and engineering companies manufacturing spinning and weaving machines. In its modern form, the cotton textile industry started developing in India in the cotton growing regions of Maharashtra and Gujarat. Some of the factors that contributed to this growth were ready availability of raw cotton, moist weather, cheap labor, ready market and transport, and port facilities. The cotton yarn spinning industry is still concentrated in Maharashtra, Gujarat, and Tamil Nadu. However, the weaving industry is spread over several parts of India, where local artisans use traditional skills to add specialities like zari and embroidery to the cloth. The table here shows the cloth produced in India by different sectors, like cloth mills, power looms, and handlooms. Note that the share of cloth mills is much less. This is good since automated cloth mills do not provide as many employment opportunities as the power loom and handloom sectors. Mahatma Gandhi spread a movement for spinning cotton yarn and wearing khadi. This was an attempt to reject cloth from British mills and safeguard the interests of local weavers engaged in producing cloth on handlooms. India has world-class spinning facilities for cotton yarn, and our spinning industry is capable of using all the raw fiber we produce. India has about 43.13 million installed spindles, which is second only to China. Our spinning mills produce high-quality yarn that is exported to Japan, the USA, the UK, Russia, France, Nepal, Singapore, Sri Lanka, and many African and East European countries. India holds 25% share in the world market of cotton yarn, but only 4% of cotton garments. This is because of the poor quality fabric produced by the weaving and knitting sector. There are few large companies in this sector that use the expensive high-quality yarn produced in India. The rest are small units that produce low-quality fabric for local markets. Since most industries in the weaving sector use poor quality yarn, they produce poor quality fabric. This results in a situation where India exports a lot of high-quality cotton yarn. Yet, garment manufacturers have to import good quality cotton fabric. If we upgrade our weaving sector, we can produce good quality fabric in India and make our garment manufacturing sector more competitive. Although the production of long staple cotton in India has shown a remarkable increase, we still need to import raw cotton to use our spinning capacity. Unreliable supply of power, low output of labor, need to upgrade machinery and competition from the synthetic fiber industry are some of the other challenges faced by the cotton textile industry in India. India is the world's largest producer of raw jute. The first jute mill in India was established in 1859 at Rishra near Kolkata. Following the partition in 1947, around 75% of the jute producing area in the region went to Bangladesh. However, most of the jute mills remained in India. The jute industry employs 3.7 lakh people directly and supports around 40 lakh farmers who grow jute. India is the second largest exporter of raw jute and jute products in the world after Bangladesh. India exports jute to the USA, Canada, Russia, the UAE, the UK and Australia. India has around 80 jute mills, most of which are located in West Bengal along the Hooghly River. These jute mills are concentrated in a small strip of land that is 98 kilometers long and just about 3 kilometers wide. Now, let us look at some factors that make the banks of the Hooghly an ideal place for jute mills. These reasons are closeness to the jute producing areas in West Bengal, a good network of rail, road and water transport, abundant water supply that is required to process raw jute, cheap labor from West Bengal, Bihar, Orissa and Uttar Pradesh, and proximity to Kolkata that provides banking, insurance and port facilities. The main challenges faced by the jute industry are competition from synthetic substitutes and other jute manufacturing countries like Bangladesh, Brazil, Egypt, the Philippines and Thailand. The Ministry of Textiles, Government of India, formulated the National Jute Policy in 2005. The main objectives of this policy are to increase productivity, improve quality, provide better rates for jute to farmers, and increase the yield of jute per hectare. The Government of India has taken initiatives like mandatory jute packaging to increase the domestic demand for jute. People across the world are fast realizing the benefits of jute products since they are biodegradable and environment friendly. The sugar industry uses sugarcane as the main raw material and produces several products like sugar, gur or jaggery, and khandsari. India is the largest producer of gur and khandsari and the second largest producer of sugar in the world. The sugarcane crop takes almost an entire year to grow. Thus, it is not available all the year round. This makes the sugar industry a seasonal industry. A large number of sugar mills in India are run by cooperative societies. The sugar produced depends on the sucrose content of sugarcane. The sucrose content reduces during transportation. Thus, sugar mills must be located within or near the areas where sugarcane is cultivated. At present, India has 662 sugar mills, 60% of which are located in Uttar Pradesh and Bihar. The rest of the sugar mills are spread over Punjab, Haryana, Maharashtra, Gujarat, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Madhya Pradesh and Andhra Pradesh. Over the past few years, the sugar industry appears to be shifting to India's southern and western regions, especially Maharashtra. The main reasons for this trend are higher sucrose content of sugarcane grown in this region, a cooler climate, and the greater success of the cooperative sector in these areas. The main challenges faced by the sugar industry are its seasonal nature, primitive, inefficient methods of farming, delays in transporting sugarcane to sugar mills, and the need to find use for the large amount of waste called bagasse generated during the crushing of sugarcane. Earth is full of important resources like minerals and ores which are a key to our industrial and economic development. Manufacturing industries that use minerals as raw material are called mineral-based industries. In this module, we will discuss in detail about the iron and steel industry, aluminium smelting, and chemical industry with a special emphasis on petrochemicals. All industries need machines, and iron and steel are basic materials used to manufacture machines. Thus, the iron and steel industry is the basic industry on which all other industries depend. In fact, the production and per capita consumption of steel is a measure of a country's economic development. Steel is used as a construction material and in the manufacture of a large number of medical, defense, communication, and consumer goods. The main raw materials used in the iron and steel industry are iron ore, coal, and limestone. Since the raw materials and finished products of iron and steel industries are quite bulky. These industries must be located near the mining areas of the required minerals and must be connected by a good transport network. The production of iron begins by mixing 4 parts of iron ore with 2 parts of coking coal and 1 part of limestone, and adding this mixture to the blast furnace where iron gets melted and converted into steel. A small portion of manganese is also added to harden the steel. Molten iron from the blast furnace is poured into mold called pigs to produce pig iron. Pig iron is melted, purified and alloyed with metals like manganese, nickel and chromium to produce steel. Molten steel is rolled, pressed, cast and shaped into ingots of the desired shape and size. This steel is supplied to other manufacturing industries. With a production capacity of 72.2 million tons of steel, India is the 4th largest producer of crude steel and the largest producer of sponge iron in the world. India is also a leading exporter of steel in the world. However, the per capita consumption of steel in India is only 49 kilograms as compared to China, where it is over 182 kilograms. The reason for this could be that India took noticeable steps towards industrialization after a long period of stagnation. Back in the 1950s, India and China were almost neck to neck in their steel production. However, today, China has become the world's largest producer and consumer of steel, leaving India far behind. There are 10 primary integrated steel plants in India, as shown on the map. These integrated plants handle all stages of steel production, from procurement of basic raw material to producing finished rolled and shaped steel. Besides the 10 primary integrated steel plants, India has many mini steel plants that produce customized alloy steel using scrap iron or sponge iron as raw material. If you look at the location of steel plants in India, again, you will find that most of them are located in the Chota Nagpur Plateau region. This is because of the availability of inexpensive, high-grade raw material and abundant cheap labor in the region. There is a vast potential for the growth of the iron and steel industry in India. The main challenges faced by the industry in realizing its full potential are limited supply of expensive coking coal, erratic power supply, low output of labor and poor infrastructure. Despite all the challenges, the future of India's iron and steel industry is bright due to India's liberalization policy and foreign direct investment in the industry. The industry needs to focus on research and development efforts to become a competitive steel manufacturing force in the world market. Let's look at aluminium now. Aluminium is a lightweight, corrosion-resistant metal with excellent malleability and ductility. Aluminium is a good conductor of heat and electricity, and can be alloyed with other metals to make it stronger. Aluminium is used in making a large number of items, from wires and cables to kitchen utensils to aircraft. Aluminium is increasingly being used as a substitute for steel, copper, zinc and lead in several industries. The process of deriving metallic aluminium from its ore is called aluminium smelting. After iron and steel, aluminium smelting is the second most important metallurgical industry in India. Bauxite, a dark reddish mineral, is the chief ore of aluminium. Bauxite needs to be converted into a fine salt-like white powder called alumina before metallic aluminium can be extracted from it. The manufacturing process of aluminium begins at an alumina refinery. Here, bauxite is crushed and alumina is obtained using certain chemicals. 4 to 6 tons of bauxite yield around 2 tons of alumina. Alumina is transported to an aluminium smelting plant along with 2 more raw materials: calcinated petroleum coke and pitch from a colliery. At the smelting plant, aluminium is derived from alumina through an electrolytic process. 2 tons of alumina yields around 1 ton of aluminium. Processing 1 ton of alumina uses 18,600 kilowatt-hours of electricity. India has 8 aluminium smelting plants located in Orissa, West Bengal, Uttar Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Chhattisgarh and Maharashtra. By 2009, the annual production of aluminium in India was 15.29 lakh million tons. Since the production of aluminium requires the transport of bulky raw materials and large amounts of electricity, assured supply of power and good transport connectivity are the main criteria for the location of an aluminium smelting plant. The Indian chemical industry is the 3rd largest in Asia and the 12th largest in the world. The Indian chemical industry contributes 3% to our national GDP. There are a large number of big and small manufacturing units engaged in the production of inorganic and organic chemicals all over India. The main inorganic chemicals produced in India include sulfuric acid, nitric acid, alkalis, soda ash and caustic soda. The chemical industry is the largest consumer of its own products. Basic chemicals produced by one company act as raw material for another that produces industrial chemicals. For example, sulfuric acid is used in the production of fertilizers, plastics, synthetic fibers, adhesives, paints and dyes. Similarly, soda ash is used in manufacturing soap, glass, detergents and paper. A major part of organic chemicals is petrochemicals. Petrochemicals are materials derived as the byproducts of petroleum refining. Thus, most organic chemical industries are located near refineries. Petrochemicals are used to manufacture synthetic fiber, synthetic rubber, dyes and paints, fertilizers, adhesives and medicinal drugs. One of the main factors that brought about the Green Revolution in India was the use of artificial fertilizers. The Indian fertilizer industry produces nitrogenous fertilizers like urea, phosphatic fertilizers like diammonium phosphate, and other complex fertilizers that are combinations of nitrogen, phosphate, and potash. Potash is the name given to potassium carbonate and several other salts that contain potassium. It is important for the growth of plants. However, India does not have any usable mineral reserves of potash. Thus, the Indian fertilizer industry imports all the potash it requires. At present, there are 57 fertilizer manufacturing units in India that produce several nitrogenous and complex fertilizers. Besides, there are 29 units dedicated to the production of urea, 9 for ammonium phosphate, and around 68 smaller units to produce single superphosphates. There are 10 public sector companies producing fertilizers and 1 cooperative sector unit at Hazira in Gujarat that is run by the Fertilizer Corporation of India Limited. The states of Gujarat, Tamil Nadu, Uttar Pradesh, Punjab, and Kerala produce nearly 50% of the total fertilizer production in India. The other fertilizer producing states are Andhra Pradesh, Orissa, Rajasthan, Bihar, Maharashtra, Assam, West Bengal, Goa, Delhi, Madhya Pradesh, and Karnataka. Here are some of the most famous skyscrapers of the world. They have different architectural designs, but one material that was extensively used in the construction of all these buildings is cement. Cement is an essential material for all kinds of construction, be it a home, office, road, bridge, or dam. The start of the cement industry in India dates back to 1904, when the first cement plant was set up in Chennai. In 1989, the government introduced several policy reforms like decontrol of cement pricing and distribution. This led to a rapid growth and expansion in the cement industry. India has 140 large cement manufacturing plants and around 300 smaller plants that manufacture cement of different varieties. Besides a large domestic demand, the Indian cement industry exports cement to countries in East Asia, the Middle East, Africa, and South Asia. The cement industry uses heavy raw materials like limestone, silica, alumina, and gypsum in bulk quantities. It also requires large quantities of coal, electricity, and a good railways and port transportation to meet nationwide and export demands. Thus, most cement plants are located near limestone quarries. The main cement producing states in India are Gujarat, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, and Maharashtra. Smaller plants are distributed over most states in the country. How do you come to school every day? If your home is not within walking distance, you must be using some means of transport like cycle, scooter, motorcycle, car, bus, or a three-wheeler. India has a large automobile industry that produces passenger and goods transport vehicles. The Indian automobile industry has seen tremendous growth in the last 15 years. Market liberalization, the entry of new manufacturers and models, an increase in domestic and export demand, foreign direct investment and the introduction of latest technology are the main factors that have contributed to this growth. At present, there are 15 manufacturers of passenger cars and multi-utility vehicles, 9 manufacturers of commercial vehicles, and 14 manufacturers of 2- and 3-wheelers in India. The main production centers of the Indian automobile industry are Delhi, Gurgaon, Mumbai, Chennai, Kolkata, Pune, Lucknow, Indore, Hyderabad, Bangalore and Jamshedpur. India has seen a telecommunication revolution. Today, you can pick up a phone and talk to anybody anywhere around the world. You can buy and sell things through computers over the internet. Facilities like computerized reservations and ATMs have made our lives so easy. All these are products of the information technology and electronics industry. The electronics industry is engaged in manufacturing electronic gadgets and appliances like radio sets, music players, computers, televisions, satellite dishes, and mobile phones, to name just a few. Bangalore is the major center for the production of electronic goods. Other main production areas of the electronics industry are Delhi, Chennai, Pune, Mumbai, Hyderabad, Kolkata, Lucknow and Coimbatore. The computer software and hardware industry and the services enabled through computerization together form the information technology or IT industry. This teaching module is also a product of information technology. The key feature of the IT industry is the employment opportunities it has generated. By 2005, there were around 1 million IT workers in India. The most encouraging aspect is that around 30% of IT employees are women. The IT industry is also an important foreign exchange earner through its software development and business process outsourcing services. There are countless big and small companies that operate in the information technology industry. To promote the IT industry, the Government of India has set up 18 software technology parks in different cities of India. These software technology parks provide all infrastructure and high data communication services to the companies operating from there. Industries are essential for our economic growth. However, they also cause severe pollution of our natural resources. Environmental degradation due to industrial pollution is a problem faced in all developed and developing parts of the world. And it is a problem that we can no longer ignore. Industries cause environmental degradation through four main types of pollution. These are air pollution, water pollution, land pollution or soil degradation, and noise pollution. You must have seen thick smoke billowing from chimneys in factories. This smoke contains undesirable gases like carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, and carbon monoxide. Besides solid and liquid particulate matter in the form of dust and spray mist, which cause air pollution. The industries that are mainly responsible for air pollution include paper mills, oil refineries, brick kilns, metal smelting plants, and other industries that burn fossil fuels like coal to generate energy. Air pollution is not restricted to smoke rising from chimneys. The Bhopal gas tragedy in India was caused by the leakage of a deadly gas, methyl isocyanate, from an industry. It is one of the worst man-made disasters in India. Air pollution affects the health of humans, animals, and plants alike. It also causes damage to buildings. The Taj Mahal in Agra is threatened by the air pollution from industrial areas around it. Water pollution is caused by the discharge of untreated chemical waste like dyes, detergents, acids, heavy metals like lead and mercury, pesticides, fertilizers, and plastics from industries into fresh water bodies like rivers and lakes. Solid wastes like fly ash, phosphogypsum, and iron and steel slag also cause water pollution. The industries that cause major amount of water pollution are paper and pulp industries, oil refineries, tanneries, and electroplating industries. The consumption of or even contact with such polluted water can cause serious diseases to humans. The discharge of hot water from thermal power plants into rivers before cooling is called thermal pollution of water. This often results in large-scale destruction of aquatic life. Each liter of water containing industrial waste pollutes 8 liters of fresh water and makes it unfit for human use. With supply of fresh water already limited, we must take immediate steps to stop water pollution. Some of the waste produced by our industries is too hazardous to be disposed of in water. Such radioactive and chemical waste is buried in the soil and causes severe land pollution. Other factors contributing to land pollution are dumping of glass, plastic, industrial effluents, and other non-biodegradable waste on land. Land pollution leads to water pollution. Rainwater falling on polluted land dissolves and carries many of the pollutants further into the ground and pollutes groundwater. Loud noise can lead to irritation, loss of hearing, and an increase in blood pressure and heart rate. Industrial machinery, construction activities, generators, and equipment like saws and pneumatic drills are mainly responsible for noise pollution. This brings us to the question, what are the ways to control environmental degradation by industries? One of the most important steps for the control of environmental degradation is treating hot and polluted wastewater from industries before releasing it into our rivers and lakes. Let us see how such a system works. Wastewater treatment begins by primary treatment, where screens are used to filter out large solid waste. This is followed by grinding the remaining waste so that the dissolved chemicals separate through the process of flocculation. Next, the water is allowed to stand in tanks so that the solid waste settles down and can be removed as sludge. The secondary stage of treatment involves introducing certain bacteria in wastewater. These bacteria digest harmful chemicals in water through a biological process. In the tertiary stage of treatment, the wastewater is gently stirred in large tanks with certain chemicals that further neutralize the effect of harmful chemicals still left in the water. After treatment, the wastewater can either be recycled for reuse in the industry or safely discharged in rivers or lakes. Fresh water can also be conserved by rainwater harvesting to meet water requirements for industrial processes, and then recycling treated wastewater for reuse as explained earlier. At places with limited supply of surface water, industries overexploit the groundwater reserves to meet their requirements. Legal provisions must be made to regulate the use of groundwater for industrial use. The particulate matter in smoke from industries can be greatly reduced by using devices like smokestacks, filters, scrubbers, and electrostatic and inertial separators. These devices remove a large amount of harmful particles from industrial smoke. The emission of smoke itself from industries can be reduced by using more efficient fuels like oil and natural gas in place of coal. If you have been to a factory, you would know how difficult it is to talk over the deafening sound of machines and generators. Today, several types of industrial and generator silencers and sound-absorbing material are available to reduce the noise level in industries. If the noise of a machine cannot be lowered, industrial workers can use earphones and earplugs for individual protection of health and hearing. National Thermal Power Corporation, or NTPC, is a major electricity generation and distribution company in India. NTPC is ISO certified for Environmental Management System 14001 and has demonstrated how conservation of environment and natural resources can happen simultaneously with industrial growth. One of the reasons for NTPC's success is the use of latest machines and technology that is environment friendly. NTPC has many thermal power plants that burn coal and generate enormous quantities of fly ash. NTPC has minimized this waste by maximizing the use of fly ash for construction and other purposes. Most of NTPC's power plants have extensive green belts around them. This vegetation cleans the surrounding air and serves the national purpose of forestation. NTPC has also developed adequate waste management facilities like ash ponds, ash water recycling and liquid waste treatment plants. NTPC has adopted a system for continuous ecological monitoring, reviewing and database management for all its power stations. This brings any environmental problem to notice immediately so that corrective action can be taken.